Hi there, everybody. I wanted to show you guys some cool stuff with the new dual knob retrofit kit that we've been working on. First thing I'm going to show you, the car is completely off. You touch the hazard button, which is our new capacitive touch hazard button, and you can see that the hazards come on without the key being in the ignition or anything. That's because there is a part of the circuitry that's wired straight to the battery. It's very, very low power draw, and it keeps the circuitry alive so you can activate the hazards anytime you want to, whether the key is in the ignition or not. So that's something cool we've been working on, and it works flawlessly. Now let's fire the car up. This is our old plastic fascia here. We haven't got our new 3D printed ones yet. We're working on that. We'll fire up the car here. Fire up the HVAC controller here. Ag screen, get out of the way. There we go. All right. So we've been working on some things with the interface, with displaying the engine gauges, and all of the other features. So I'm going to run through it. Try to run through it as quickly as I can. Try not to be too verbose here, because I tend to talk and talk and talk. But anyway, so we've made some enhancements to the controls on the screen. One thing you'll notice is that if you want to touch the screen to adjust your temperatures, we have set the hot spots for all of these selections larger, so that from the halfway down, anywhere you touch in here, it's easier to touch and control if you want to do that. If you want to bump your fan speed up, down, you can just kind of tap it like that. Or, of course, you can rotate your knob. And if you click the knob, it switches over to the increasing or decreasing the fan speed, which is cool. Sometimes it's just quicker to go bump, bump, bump like this. Get it where you want it. Another thing that we've done is on the airflow, we've made this hotspot larger as well, so you can just easily go into defrost. You can go into just the floor vents, floor and dash vents, and it cycles back and forth through all of them. So it makes it pretty easy to just click through the various settings. I'm not really hitting it that hard. All right. So, of course, when you click the right knob, that sets the focus over to this, and you can rotate the right knob and you can control those things as well. But sometimes it's just quicker to just tap the screen like that with your finger. So, and then the focus switches back over here to the passenger side temperature, which you can control independently. And if you hit sync, then when sync is illuminated, then the left side controls driver and passenger temperature. So we've got all of this working really, really well. And of course, if you touch that little right arrow, it gets you to the next thing where you can go into settings, or you can display your engine gauges. And you press that and you get back to these controls, which of course is your auto for your HVAC, your recirculate, your AC on or off, your rear window defroster, etc. Now, we're going to go into our engine gauges and show you our new engine gauge display. So you long press the left knob, boom, it takes you right into the temperature screen. And I've been driving the car for a little while. It's cold as fuckity fuck down here in Florida. So my trans temperature is not very high right now. It's only 107. These needles on the trans and the oil temperature, they don't really start working until they get kind of over 150, but the digits will always be correct. Even though the needle isn't really registering here on the trans temperature, because I haven't been driving the car that much this evening. I mean, it's 35 degrees down here, but which is cold for Florida. But You can always rely on the actual temperature of the transmission. All of these temperatures are set straight to the OBD, so they are always reliable regardless of what the needle is actually doing. And of course, here's your coolant temperature. You can see my coolant. I've been idling here for a few minutes, and my coolant temperature is 204 right now. And so now when we rotate the knob one click, the next screen that comes up is your engine screen. And of course that displays your tachometer. And it's not going to be as quick and responsive as the tachometer you have on the dash, but it's just an extra little thing that Mike built into this. And of course your vehicle speed and so forth as well. So that will display the same as your speedometer and everything. And then of course you have your oil pressure. You can see the oil pressure. And I wanted to point out these little blue max indicators that you see right here. That shows the max level that the needle has reached. So you can see there we bumped the max way up there when I revved it up. And if you long press that gauge face, boom, it resets it. See it jumped all the way to the bottom. And then you'll see it pop up here to where the needle is right now. I'll come back in a second. And of course the same for the oil pressure. You can see I reached max oil pressure on this drive right there. But of course I'm idling right now, so it's only at 27 psi. So you can see the blue max indicator came back down here to where the needle is right now. If I rev it up, you can see it jump back up there. So the max indicators are just kind of a fun little way to see where your maximum was. And then of course you rotate the knob one more time, and it takes us to the fuel screen. This is instantaneous gallons per hour. You can see it is instantaneously reading the fuel flow. There's also trip usage. Trip usage is going to display how many gallons you've used on this trip since you turned the ignition key on. So if I drive from here into town and back, it's going to show you how many gallons of fuel you have used. So that's your trip usage. And then of course this is what's in the tank. It's showing right now that I have about 8.5 gallons left in the tank, which is pretty accurate with what is on my fuel gauge. So, and then of course we click it one more time and we can get the battery and the charge. You can see the icon changes over here in the corner. So we can see that our battery voltage reached a peak right there, but we're currently at 13.9 volts. And you can see the battery is 100% charged. That's that new badass AGM battery I'm running, which is good. Now you can also touch these little icons here and go straight to the gauge that you want to see. So you can kind of bounce around directly like that, or you can just rotate the knob a click and it will take you through all four of the gauge reading pages, which is cool. Now a long press on the left knob will take you back to the main screen. And there we are, we're back at HVAC now. So our long press on the right knob takes us into the settings. And then we can use the knob to scroll around through all of the settings pages. So if we go to our brightness and we click that, it takes us to our brightness, and we can actually use the knob now to dim or brighten the screen. This is the daytime brightness slider here. And if you want to sync to the sensor in the car, you can just check that, or you can uncheck it. And you can set your night brightness manually or just sync to the car, which is the one I leave it on. So to go back a page, you give it a long press And take you back to this screen. Now we can go to our color changing screen, give it a click, and we can rotate the knob and we can change our display color to any of the color settings that we want to set. There we go. Give it a long press. That takes us back a page. Or you can hit this little back button up here in the corner. It doesn't matter. And then we rotate it again, give it a click, and we can go to our startup logo, whichever logo we want to set to show up whenever we crank the car. Give it a long press to set the one that you want, and that will boot you back to the previous page. And then we go to the time zone. I'm going to show you this. The time zone is how you set the clock, and this is another thing I wanted to get into. As you can see, we now display the time and the outside temperature right here on the DIC, which is really cool. In order to see the time display, you have to have the OnStar box and the factory antenna on the car. If you don't have the OnStar box plugged up, you're not going to see any time there. All you will see is the outside temperature display. But if you still have the OnStar box, you can display your time right there on the DIC. You do not have to have any OnStar subscription. It's just reading the time straight through the OnStar system. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. But this right here is setting the time for your clock based on universal, the UTC time code that OnStar is picking up. So if you were to go over to England to where they used to have what's called Greenwich time, now they call it UTC, that would be at 0 hours. But in order for the time to be correct for us, it has to be on -5 hours. So I'll show you that. Like if I were to have it at -3 hours, it thinks that it's 12:52. But if we go to -5 hours, which is what it's supposed to be, you can see that it's 9:52 p.m. and that is the correct time. So you can use this roller here and set your time, give it a long press, and that will take you back a page to your settings. Then you can go to your options. This is where you can turn on and off pollution mode for the system, and the sports display, you can turn that on and off, and give it a long click, and that takes you back a page. And of course this just takes you to the diagnostics screen for the HVAC, and you can see that it is going to read your VIN number. It knows that this was a dual zone car. This car is equipped with a dual zone climate control. It automatically sets left and right. Like if I was in Australia and I had an Australian car with an Australian VIN, it would automatically set it for right-hand drive. So you don't even have to set all of that stuff. It knows by your VIN number which side of the car the driving is taking place on. So anyway, we can back off out of that. And then a long press here get you back to the main control screen. So, and of course you have your hazards. I'm going to turn the interior light off so you can see. You get a very soft glow here for the hazards until you touch it. The LEDs here are set for a very low soft glow right here. And then when you touch it, of course, you get it lit up. Now, what we have here, this is just a sticker that's on the old fascia. On the new 3D printed fascias, this will be a translucent white area, so the LEDs will glow through that, and it'll all be integral into this 3D printed part. So all of that will be able to glow from behind, and it won't just be a cheesy sticker that I have on here just to demonstrate all of this for you. So this is just temporarily here. When we get the 3D printed fascias going, of course, they'll not only look better, they'll be thicker, they'll be more durable, and they will feel much more substantial. And it'll have this button, all this button detailing will be 3D printed right into the part integrally with it. So that's going to be really cool. That's a nice little advancement. 3D printers are advancing every month now, so there's all kinds of stuff we can do with them that we couldn't do 12 months ago. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I want to show that to you guys and just let you see what we're working on. And I have been working with Mike for days and days and days now. We've been doing testing on all of this, troubleshooting it, and collaborating on how all of these functions should work. And I've got a couple of beta test units that are going to be going out here to a couple of customers, and we're working on some other beta test units that'll be going out to some of our other beta testers, and we'll get some feedback on that. We'll fine-tune all of this, and then we will start getting this thing into production. And this, of course, will update all of the existing G8 Designs dash kits out there with the new technology. And of course, all of this is updatable with a PC computer. I recommend a little laptop, because you can bring the laptop in the car and you can just plug up a USB cable and update your controller right there while you're in the car, which is a tremendous convenience. It doesn't have to go back to FALSIC or anything to get it updated with software updates or bug fixes or whatever. So anyway, that's what we've been working on. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll be keeping you guys updated. Thanks so much.